Hello everybody, it's the Last Raider. We are back with another video. And today, we're talking about video games. We're not talking about Neil Druckmann. We're not talking about Naughty Dog. We're not talking about Cyberpunk. We're talking about politicians getting involved and thinking they know everything about stuff they know nothing about. Alright? So what is going on here? Apparently a Illinois politician is blaming the rise in carjackings in Chicago on GTA, or Grand Theft Auto for those who don't know. This is funny because are carjackings going up everywhere else in the country? No, it's just in Chicago. It's amazing because, and this is the thing between Missouri and Illinois, Missourians, unless you're in St. Louis, they tend to really despise Illinois. Because Illinois' government runs into a problem, they're blaming someone else. Crime rates go up in Illinois. They don't blame stupid policies that they've made. They turn around and they say, oh, well, it's Missouri's fault because Missouri has lax gun laws. When you have a city that has riddle me this. You have a city that has a high gun crime rate, but you have the most strict gun control laws in the country, and for some reason the criminals are coming to my state to buy guns. Okay, let's say they were. They've come to my state to buy guns. Why are they going to your state to commit crimes then? Why don't they just stay in my state and commit crimes? It doesn't pass the logic test, in other words. And this is one of those things that doesn't pass it either, okay? You're saying carjackings in Chicago are going up because of the sales of GTA. Okay, let's say that's happening. Why is it not happening in St. Louis? Why is it not happening in Kansas City? Why are the carjackings not going up in New York? Are they going up in LA? If they're not, and it's only your city that's having the carjackings go up, that sounds like a policy problem. That doesn't sound like a video game causing crap problem. But we're back at this point where we think video games are the bane of existence. These idiot politicians, they pick something that they believe is the bane of society, that this is horrible. Used to be back in the day, it was Elvis's hips. It became rock and roll and the rock and roll that he built up. Then it became heavy metal. Then it became black metal. It was D&D. And it's been video games for the past 50, 60 years. They've been wanting to blame everything on video games. Video games do not make you violent. There are multiple studies against this many of them even state that they found that video games actually reduce acts of violence within people. People actually become less violent. And that is simply because a video game, you have to focus. Violence is an emotional reaction to something. Usually either an emotional response to survive or an emotional response to anger. Okay? A person who's focused does not get violent. And when you're playing a game that requires you to focus, that's what games do. They train you to focus when you're playing on them, or they train physical traits. You are going to carry over that focusing in the game into the real world. So if a video game forces you to focus and think your way around a problem, then you're going to probably focus in IRL and probably think your way around the problem. But let's go into this. Before we get started on this, though, we have a response to this nonsense from the Entertainment Software Association, who decided to just backhand a politician, and I love it. Following the original publication of this article, a representative of the Entertainment Software Association, the U.S. game industry's largest trade association, reached out with the following statement. While our industry understands and shares the concerns about what has been happening in Chicago, there simply is no evidence of a link between interactive entertainment and real-world violence. We believe the solution is a complex problem. Resides in examining thoroughly the actual factors that drive such behavior, then erroneously ascribing blame to video games based solely upon speculation. Thank you, ESA. Okay? for going out there and stating the obvious to everyone. Now let's continue with the article here. Illinois Criminal Code of 2012 restricts the sale of violent video games to minors with a fine of $1,000 USD as punishment, because there are some adults out there that just don't simply know how to parent. Okay? They will go out there, they will buy games for their kid. This was something that happened with there were lawsuits labeled against GTA or against Rockstar when Grand Theft Auto San Andreas was out. It was because someone left a game in there. I actually had the original copy, so you were supposed to be able to do it. I had an original copy, never could get the system to do what it was supposed to do. Later on, I found out you needed a mod in order to make that happen. But this was one of the arguments Rockstar did. I remember this very vividly. They got up there and they were talking about, why would this be sold? Why would you allow this game to be sold to my son? And the guy that was a representative of Rockstar held up the game and he said, "Do you see this M rating right here?" She goes, "Yeah." Flips the package around and says, "Do you see what it says here? 18 years or older?" She goes, "Yes." He said, "Now, here's my question. You're the parent. Why didn't you notice this rating system that's on there for your benefit to keep this game out of your kid's hands? Because that's your responsibility. Did your son pay for it with his money?" And the woman goes, "No, I bought it." He goes, "Well, then that's your fault, not mine." And the whole case pretty much fell apart from there, because the idea was, oh, they're giving this, it was supposed to be like they're selling drugs. And it turns out, no, they weren't. You have to go through an adult. They're selling through the market. They're selling the open market, not the black market, morons. Democratic State Representative Marcus Evans Jr. has introduced HB 3531, which would ban sales of violent video games outright. The bill would also modify the definition of violent to include psychological harm and child abuse, sexual abuse, animal abuse, domestic violence, violence against women. That's basically the same thing as domestic violence, you idiot, but okay. Or motor vehicle theft with a driver or passenger present inside the vehicle when the theft begins. So basically, we're writing laws that they're trying to pass laws inside of GTA 5. This is so stupid. There were 1,417 reported carjackings in Chicago in 2020. Double the number that occurred a year before, as the Chicago Sun-Times reports. It's a big enough issue to prompt efforts like Operation Safe Pump, which has a private security firm posting guards at local gas stations as a deterrent. I'm willing to bet that these guys are actually having an effect where this politician is not. Okay? Look, maybe, let me tell you something. When St. Louis had a carjacking problem, it was one of the driving factors to push for open carry and to eliminate our pistol ban. But for those who don't know, Missouri had a pistol ban in our state. I'm a pro-Second Amendment advocate. Those of you that aren't, let me explain why. We had a pistol ban in our state at the same time the assault weapons ban was in place. In fact, it kind of run parallel the same number of years and had the same sunset clause. The sunset clause comes around. No one could justify the pistol ban because crimes were going through the roof. St. Louis went from 20 carjackings in a week to when the ban lapsed and people started shooting. You had a high uptick in shootings because people were defending their property. So it went down to one carjacking a month. Because there's a consequence. When you got grandma and some guy's been going over there jacking her car about twice a month, and he runs up this little old grandma thinking, hey, this is going to be an easy carjacking. Pick a race. I don't care. Every race carjacks. I'm not hitting one particular group. That's why I'm not saying what race they are. So just pick one in your head who you think it is. And he opens the door. Grandma whips out a .357 and says, "Get the fuck away from my vehicle, you son of a bitch." And the guy goes, "You know what? I'm sorry. I thought you was a friend of mine, and you're not. I'm going to leave you to be." Calmly shuts the door and takes off running with a trail of piss and shit going behind him, coming down both legs. Okay? That's what happens. Chicago has massive gun control. Let me tell you something. We've done prohibition of alcohol, didn't work. Prohibition of drugs, didn't work. We're currently trying to do prohibition of guns. It's never worked. Now we've got Chicago wanting to prohibition video games. Promise you that's not going to work either. And every time this ends up creating a black market that is run by a group of people that end up becoming almost as powerful, if not more powerful, than politicians when it's over with. Open the market up and let people have what they want. And you will not have mafias. You will not have cartels. These people survive because governments create markets for them. That's all they do. And then these groups, they up and start bribing your politicians so that they can keep the laws the way they are. Let's keep going. The bill would prohibit the sale of some games that promote the activities that we're suffering from in our communities. In other words, we think the games are causing the problems. Evans tells the Sun-Times, this man has apparently never played a game before in his life. He adds that games like Grand Theft Auto have become a huge issue in this spectrum. When you compare the two, you see harsh similarities as it relates to these carjackings. Yes, you would see, yes, because one is an imitation of real life. That's what this guy hasn't figured out. He thinks that GTA 5 is affecting real life, where GTA 5 is just a mirror. That's it. It is reflecting the criminal element of the world. That's it. It looks real because it is based on something real. It does not precurse all of the carjackings. They have been there forever. You probably are lacking specific policies. Like I said, it's a very hard thing to do when you... me and my dad, for instance, when we go to work, we're driving down the road since the protest's been going on. I'm carrying an AR-15 with about 180 rounds of ammunition and a sidearm. You come up to our vehicle and try to jack it, there's going to be a problem. You will be in the fight of your life. I promise you. It's not worth your life. Everything in that vehicle isn't. It's worth our lives because we're going to need that stuff. And if we don't have the truck and we don't have the tools, we can't work. And I can't wait 30 days, which is the maximum amount of time it takes for that insurance is allotted to deal with a problem. They have to satisfy you in 30 days. Problem is most businesses can't wait 30 days to get their money, to replace their equipment. In other words, we're out our saws, we're out our hammers, we'll be out our power tools and stuff that make our job a lot easier. We literally will have to go back to restarting our business over until we get our insurance money back from the insurance company, which they will wait 30 days. They always wait 30 days. It's never, hey, guess what? You've had a wreck or something, it's done. No. Insurance companies, they wait 30 days and then they pester you to get you to take less money. They can legally do that as long as you agree to it. I know. I've done so many insurance jobs over the years. It's pathetic how some of the tactics they will do to a little old woman who doesn't know. They won't call the carpenter. They will call the little old woman to get it back. Like I said, you put some serious consequences on these idiots trying to steal cars. Don't care who they are. Don't care what race they are. You have Bubba Judd come out from his trailer park and decides he's going to steal Aunt Jemima's car, and Aunt Jemima pulls out a cut down AR Honey Badger pistol and mows his ass down. Well, guess what? Bubba Lee Judd is going to look at that and say, I don't need to go carjacking no more because Bubba Judd out there, my brother Bubba Judd out there got shot trying to carjack. I think I'll do honest labor. That's how you fix these problems. Not by going over there and scapegoating something. I promise you this guy has voted for policies that is causing this nonsense. Let's continue. The amendment would also repeal a section of existing criminal code which requires retailers to display a 2-inch 18 label on all violent video games. The author sits here and makes a very poignant statement. I have to assume that's disappearing because it was never enforced. And I bet you that's probably it. You're not enforcing the small laws. I guarantee they're not enforcing the big laws. Promise you that. You also have to think about it. You've also got, and this is where I'm going to get slightly political, folks. In other words, with current politics. You had Kamala Harris and them out there saying, just call us up and we'll post your bond. You've got policies in New York City. I remember a while back, a guy was going through there robbing people in the subway station. it's optional in New York to show up to the court date. They don't post bail anymore. They say, "Oh, we'll give you New York Mets tickets if you show up to your deal." Why would I want Mets tickets when I can go rob another joker? Go in there, rob some rich dude for about $400. How much is a New York Mets ticket? And probably the dude can commit multiple robberies. What are they going to do? Oh, they're going to arrest him. They're going to put him in jail for probably a night. He's going to tell them, well, you can't post, oh, there's no bond for me. And they're going to turn him back loose again. He's going to run back out into the guy. There was actually a dude the guy that I'm talking about was actually bragging about this. Okay? You have special interest groups that are going out there that probably during a time of protest, or these carjackers are out there taking opportunity. Okay? I'm saying they're taking an opportunity situation. They're not protesters. They probably just took the opportunity to grab some stuff. And while they're out there, hey, guess what? They're posting bail for everybody. They just claim to be a protester and get right the fuck back out. Posted bail and gone. Maybe that's a problem with it too. But we're not. But I'm willing to say that it might be a problem. But at the same time, I'd have to see if everywhere that Kamala and them posted bail for protesters, if carjackings went up in those areas too. Because if it did, you may have a problem there. But nobody in politics has critical thinking skills now. Here's the guy. Here, the more authors note. It's 2021. And here I am writing about the efforts to ban video games. If you told me a decade that we'd still be talking about politicians trying to blame bigger problems on video games, well, I guess I'd have to believe you, because maybe nothing ever really changes. And he's probably right. The whole purpose of this is one idiot who's probably made some bad policy choices trying to save his job by scapegoating someone's hobby. Like I said, they did this. They're like the stupidest stuff has been done by politicians. At one point in time, politicians jumped. I believe this was way on back in the early 20s. Maybe then. I don't know. I'm not too familiar on what. I don't want to say what year it was because I'm not quite sure when this actually happened. But there is actually an episode, I believe it's the Johnny Carson show or something, where they have Elvis on there. And you'll notice if you watch the show, they close in on Elvis's face. You can only see his chest to his head. The reason being was because some dumbass politician somewhere said, our daughters, if they see Elvis up there shaking his hips, will go into a sex craze. And we will have so many children born out of wedlock. I shit you not. This was their reasoning for forcing the TV company to focus in on Elvis's face so they could cut his hips out as he's shaking his hips. It's the dumbest looking thing you've ever seen. But that was the reasoning of the politicians. These are the same groups of people, mind you. I can't remember what president it was, but they had the daughter of the president outside, and he was trying to push for green energy bills and telling everyone they had to suffer a little bit with higher gas prices. And suddenly they got the daughter out there one day. This is back when news actually did their job. And she let it slip that the President of the United States was jacking up the air conditioner inside of the White House so it would get so cold they'd have to run the fireplace so his wife could experience the cold winters that they had up in Maine, is where he had come from, or someplace. It was a state where it was really cold. And people freaked about that because, like, you're telling everybody else to not enjoy the energy system that we have while you're over there blatantly just burning CO2 at this point. Politicians are stupid. Okay? They're always stupid. And I've also stated this. The reason politicians are stupid and it feels like they're out of touch is because they're getting paid to sit on their ass and feel it grow. Pretty much. And I must get more political here. The way our country was supposed to be run, politicians were supposed to have a job and not get paid to politic. It was supposed to be a thankless job so that they would be required to be down there in the trenches with the American people. Now you have politicians that don't even know how to use a damn debit card because they've never gone to a store and bought anything. Just like this guy has never picked up a controller and actually played a game. Let me explain something. GTA 5, when it comes to stealing cars, this is the stupidest argument. And you know this guy has not ever done this. Because there are so many things in GTA you can do that can... The point of GTA is to make money. Okay? Let everybody know. The point of GTA 5 is to make money. That's it. You steal a car, the most money you're going to get out of a vehicle is 20 grand. By yourself. Okay? That's the most you're going to get. There are businesses in GTA 5 that have a cash payout of $2.2 million. Think about that. And they're a little bit easier to get done. The one I'm talking about does $2.2 million does, selling illicit goods or warehouses, where you just fill up a warehouse. You can tag team two warehouses, big ones. You'll walk away with $4.4 million. After about a good solid hour, probably even less if you've got people. That's $4.4 million in your pocket, while your buddies are getting a paycheck at the same time, which doesn't come out of your finances. Most of the really good vehicles in GTA 5 also, and there's another reason why this is pointless. It's a stupid statement. The vehicle here on screen, you cannot steal. You cannot steal this vehicle in GTA 5. You know why? Because it's considered a hot car. The game has a mechanic which dictates there's certain vehicles in the game that if you steal them and try to put them in your garage, it won't let you do that. It won't even let you sell some of these vehicles. You can't just go in there, put your own license plate on it like you can other vehicles, lower cost vehicles. I think it's the Devontae Phoenix, I think it is. There's also the Bravado that you can... I believe it's the Bravado. It's been so long since I played. I know there's one car, it looks like it's a Mustang, basically, is what it is. You can put that car in your garage. However, if you get the Bravado Buffalo, I believe, or some other vehicle, you can't, because it says, no, this is a hot car. You're not allowed to just steal it. You have to go buy it. There are some cars on there that are some of the nicest cars. One of the best cars in the game is about $2 or $3 million. Some of the best stuff you can get in the game is several $1 million. You're not going to make it off $20,000 a stolen car every so often. Not to mention, that's the highest amount of money you can make stealing cars in the game. You've got to steal that car, try to get it back to your garage undamaged. By the way, you've also got to spend, I think, like $2 or $3 grand to get the car back up and running. I think it's like 80 grand actually is what you make, but you end up spending, no, that's what it is. It's 80 grand you can make off of it, but you end up spending 20 grand of that 80 grand to put back in the car. So really, about the only thing, I think that's about what you make is around 80 grand. I think it's like 100 grand you make, but it's about 80. I'm doing this based off the math that I remember on how I would explain this to people, basically what you would make. So the max you'll make is about 80 grand per car, which sounds like a lot of money, but when you consider some of these missions, you'll be going clean across the map. It'll take you 10 minutes to get across the map to get a car and bring it back. The most you're going to make, and then there's a long-ass timer on top of that. You've got like a 15-minute timer. You have to go somewhere else and do something else. Whereas with warehouses, you're doubling up your money pretty dang quick. You're tag teaming them. You probably do 6-7 warehouse missions at 3 crates in a matter of 30 minutes. You'll do 6 or 7 of those, which about 3 crate runs a piece. Each one of those is probably going to run you up that much money or more. You will make. You'll make god-awful amounts of cash. There's really no point, almost, other than new players going in. Like, you'll buy that business as a new player. It may be good for like some extra cash, but like I said, when you consider buying something like the Oppressor Mark II, which is a $4 million item, on top of the, I think it's like $500,000 you have to buy the, what is that, the Terabyte Mobile Command Center. That's where you modify the new Mark II Oppressor, which is the most overpowered vehicle in the game, as far as I know right now. They haven't made an Oppressor Mark III. But I mean, that in itself, and you look at those price tags making about 80 grand on one car, no, you really want to be making money with the freaking warehouses. The way I run businesses, I try to keep the businesses, as many passive businesses running as possible. And then I usually just run crates most of the time. And the crates are like, I'll fill up one crate business, and then I'll run over and fill up another crate business. I'll have this massive, I want to say, $10 million bonus that'll come out. And then all the other businesses are like an extra million, I think like $2 or $3 million extra off those other businesses. I rarely ever mess with the one business. I rarely ever mess with anything other than crates. Might do some VIP missions. That's about it. But you're talking a business that's going to require a gang and organization and a lot of organized crime that the average carjacker is not going to be able to organize that much. Not in a short amount of time. Maybe like later in their criminal career if they're not being caught. And that's another thing. This is just a mirroring, like I said, it's a mirroring of life. This is a politician who thinks that stuff that happens in-game happens IRL. All right, he's never played a game, but we're going to blame. I kind of put this back to the Republican who came out and tried to say one time that Japan, this is how out of touch these people are from main society, mind you. This one politician, he comes out, he's a Republican, he says, Japan doesn't have a violence problem because they don't have any video games. And gamers everywhere collectively facepalm because, like, Japan is the home of Nintendo, which brought video games into people's homes. Metroid, Mario, Mega Man, Street Fighter, Frick, all these major games that are household names, they were all made in Japan. Capcom is a Japanese company, all right? Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy VII. These are major games that people play that these idiots in the politics, they want to blame video games because they look at video games as a scapegoat for their failings. What you're supposed to do is call up your politician and laugh at them and tell them how stupid they are for voting for this. All right? That's what I would do. Anyway, folks, I'm The Last Raider. Kind of a long video, but this is a subject that I'm actually kind of passionate. I'm pretty passionate about video games. I'm passionate about entertainment. And sometimes I get a little bit on my high horse and we just go for a ride. That's all. That's what we've done today. But be sure to tell me what you think in the comments. Be sure to also like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notification if you enjoyed the content. And as always, stay safe, stay frosty. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye now.